Oh my gosh. The energy in here, first Abraham conference, I'm a little nervous, but
It's all right.
I'm feeling a lot of energy over there when I'm sitting and watching you, and
As a sort of homecoming, we sort of all influence each other into our natural alignment. And if we haven't consistently been in it, then it feels a bit much. That's what the feeling of overwhelmment is. We're not quite up to speed with everything, but you're doing fine.
And I have a very fast-moving stream of energy, and I'm very sensitive.
Yes.
And so when I start to dip into it, it's like ooh, oh my God, it's all happening sort of feeling. And
sometimes it doesn't feel like that sensitivity is a good thing, but it really is. Because as you learn to manage your focus, then that sensitivity just helps you to fine-tune things. But before you've learned to manage your focus, then that sensitivity is a kind of a rough ride. You're doing good.
I'm learning now. I'm about 8 months into listening to your teachings, and I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
The question that I have, I spent like a couple years smoking a lot of weed and eating a lot of psychedelics, and I had a lot of fun, but I also experienced a lot of contrast, and I had to move away from it for a while. And for the last year and a half, I've been mostly kind of sober and having a spiritual awakening, and having, when it's good, when I'm up,
sometimes even the drugs or the weed can give you a spiritual awakening. You just can't stay awake long enough to know what really happened. And you can't translate it back into anything that is meaningful. So it can serve as relief from contrast that you haven't been able to manage, but it doesn't help you manage your sensitivity. It doesn't help you manage your vibrational relationship with your inner being.
I guess maybe I don't need the relief anymore, and I haven't realized that yet, because I keep wanting to get back to it somehow.
Let's talk about this just a little bit. We've been talking a lot about meditation, because if you meditate for 15 or 20 minutes a day, or 25, and you're able to quiet your mind, we'll talk more about that if you want to, and you're able to quiet your mind so that your vibration rises, then as your vibration rises, you become a vibrational equivalent to your inner being, and all that clarity and well-being and homecoming, all of that comes. So we want to talk about the satisfaction factor. Stay with us just for a moment. And the difference, the seemingly slight but actually big difference between relief and satisfaction. Now, everything is incremental. And really, everything is relational. So you've got this inner being with whom you have a vibrational relationship, and most don't even know they have it. So sometimes you stumble into really closeness with your inner being, and sometimes you stumble into really strong separation's too strong a word, but pinching off. And most people don't understand what they're doing or not what they're doing, deliberately or indeliberately. If they're doing it deliberately, then you've got a chance of being a deliberate creator. But if you're just sort of stumbling and finding yourself there without really understanding the vibrational relationship that you have with your inner being, then you're like a cork bobbing on a raging sea. You're just kind of going where the sea takes you. So let's say that you are experiencing true, better word, steady or chronic disconnection. And it is showing up in emotions that feel like boredom, distrust of people, uneasiness, feelings of vulnerability, dissatisfaction, maybe dissatisfaction really amplified. And then you find a way to focus on something, or a way to not focus at all, that causes you to stop activating that vibration that's actually pulling you apart from your inner being. Whenever you do anything that keeps you from that being activated, like go to sleep, or like change the subject, which is really hard because law of attraction won't let loose of it, or meditate, or use some substance, then when anything causes a diffusion of those thoughts that are causing you to pull apart from your inner being, you feel relief. We just want to point out that there's a huge difference in control of the feeling of relief and the feeling of satisfaction. Of the feeling of relief and the feeling of satisfaction and the feeling of enthusiasm and the feeling of eagerness for life and the feeling of passion and the feeling of love and a feeling of appreciation and so forth. So certainly nothing wrong. In other words, if you saw someone writhing in the street with some sort of thing happening to them, you would do anything you could to bring them relief, maybe even club them over the head. You would want them to find relief. And that's not the remedy that we would encourage that you keep doing with them. Oh, that worked. My little kid broke his foot, so I just made him so he couldn't focus. And now every time he gets off kilter, I just club him over the head again. We're not encouraging any clubbing over the head. Let us be very clear to get this into the recording. We're not encouraging clubbing anyone over the head. But you get the point that we're making. So drugs are helpful maybe to give you some relief, but they're not helpful in helping you get hold of your connection with who you really are and moving you into greater and greater clarity about the powerful and deliberate creator that you're born to be. So there are two things that cause someone to continue an addiction to something. And the addiction, you can be addicted to a lot of things. You can be addicted to thoughts and addicted to people and addicted to substances. So by addicted, we just mean drawn to them in such a way that it feels to you that you're sort of out of control, that there's something else that's sort of dictating your behavior. So there are two things that perpetuate that. And both of them are about one thing, which is law of attraction. But have you ever gotten off on a subject where you were complaining? And as you focused upon it, more complaints came to your mind until you're actually remembering lots of other things in your life that was sort of kind of like that. And then you start attracting people that want to complain with you about it too. And then they start remembering lots of other things that were sort of kind of like that. And before you know it, you've got a real thing going on that doesn't feel good and isn't beneficial to you. And it's not long before things like it start manifesting in your experience, because law of attraction is a very powerful thing. So that's the law of attraction aspect. But the other aspect is the cells of your body are really, really good adapters. And the reason that they adapt is because they are cooperative components to the whole. So when you introduce something to your body that it is not accustomed to, your body will do everything that it can to adapt to the new substance, because your body, thinking mechanism that those trillions of cells are, your body knows that pushing against something will cut you off from source energy right away. The cells of your body have this intelligence that goes like this. There is no exclusion in this universe. There's no pushing against anything. That's what adaptation is. So the cells of your body do their very best to adapt to what you have ingested or however it's getting into your body, which translates to you like a craving. If you go for as little as 3 days without continuing that, and sometimes that's hard. Esther stops drinking Diet Pepsi about every 3 months and starts drinking Diet Pepsi about every 3 months. She's about over it. But you see what we're getting at? As you ingest it, then your body, in its adaptation, it translates to you like you would like some more. So you're really wanting to do two things. If you can say, I can go 3 days without doing this, so that the cellular asking will stop, and we promise you it will in 3 days, then you just got to tend to the psychological reason. And it's usually rooted in some form of dissatisfaction that you're trying to find relief from. So if you found maybe this way or some other way to release that dissatisfaction so that you're not trying to cover it up. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm finding it a little hard to take in what you're saying just because there's so much going on for me. But I hope when I listen back that this will somehow...
Let us say to you that we feel appreciation for the clarity of your asking, because we have never explained this more clearly. And that's because a clear question brings a clear answer. A big question brings a big answer. And so now just trust that you will be in a place where you can hear it more clearly. In short, 3 days without it will free you a lot. And caring about satisfaction in the absence of that relief that the substance has given you will give you new clarity that you're not used to. And we find you right now clearer than you are giving yourself credit for.
Because I've been in AA, I've dealt with like the idea of addiction, and that's not necessarily where my mind goes, because I think I've come to a point, especially through listening to your teachings, where...
See what those first 12 steps are all about with that. They're on the right track by suggesting that you just stay away from the stuff. Because until your cells are not under the influence, you're not going to get hold of the vibrational basis to really move on. So we have no argument whatsoever with what they are teaching. There's just 12 more steps and 12 more steps and 12 more steps, which your inner being will guide you to, and it's so much fun to receive them.
Just that exciting, visionary, connected magic stuff. Is it still going to be there for me?
Oh, so much. So much and so much more. Just kind of flow with us. Just softly listen to what we're going to offer you here, and you'll get the sense of what we're talking about. And these will just feel like words for a little bit, but they're words based upon how it really goes. This is the story of thoughts turning to things. And that's the story of magic that you're talking about. It's not magic. It's the natural process of thoughts turning to things. But to peoples who aren't knowing of the creative power of thoughts, then when thoughts are turning to things and the things are just appearing, they think it's magic. But it isn't magic. It's the natural consequence of holding yourself in steady alignment. So this is the best way for you to hear this. Let's say, for whatever reason, you've been blocking your connection with Source. So you don't feel that magic. And we're talking about you and lots of other people. You don't feel that magic. In fact, crappy things are happening all the time. It not only feels not like magic, it feels like black magic. It feels like somebody's working against you. There isn't any of that, but it feels like that. So you decide that you are going to follow this simple offering that we're giving, and you decide you're going to, just for a little while, meditate every day for 15 or 20 minutes. So you manage to sit, you focus upon some sound in the room that requires focus. Esther likes to find the sound of the air conditioner because it's a steady sound. And just isolate it in her mind and just give it her undivided attention. And what she discovers is by giving it her undivided attention, all other attention just falls by the wayside. And sometimes it takes a little while because thoughts will come and she focuses on the air conditioner again, and other thoughts will come and she focuses again. So sometimes it takes a little bit, especially if she's really got herself ramped up on something. But eventually she can usually, within a few minutes, she can focus on the air conditioner and stop the other thoughts. And she knows she's done it because simultaneous to the releasing of other thoughts, she feels a physical sensation of relief. It's almost like the feeling that you get with the drugs. It's like a feeling of detachment. So as that feeling of detachment happens, then you're in a state of what we call connection with inner being. You're in the receiving mode now. Now, you've already put all of these things that you want in your vibrational reality, in your vortex of creation. So now you're detached from anything that's in the way, because when you stop thought, you stop resistant thought. And when you stop resistant thought, your vibration rises. And when your vibration rises, you're in the receiving mode. So now you're in the receiving mode. No big deal. There's not going to be writing on the wall. The sky isn't going to part. Thunderous things aren't going to come. Not that kind of magic. Just an idea of something will occur to you. Like you might just get an impulse that you want to go somewhere. Maybe to 7-Eleven to buy a lottery ticket or to get a Slurpee. Just a feeling. And it's a strong enough thought and it feels satisfying enough that you decide to go do it. And in that process, you meet someone and you just have a really good time, and then another, and suddenly you begin to feel, Esther will say, the magic's here. She can just feel when things are just flowing. It's almost like her feet aren't on the ground. And everyone that she encounters is adding something lovely to her experience. You see what we're getting at? That other day, we'll be very quick about this. She was on an airplane. She was focused upon satisfaction. She was on Delta. She was flying first class. Pretty easy to feel satisfaction. But easy to not feel satisfaction. You can find dissatisfaction everywhere you are, too. She was pointed towards satisfaction. She was thinking, I'm so comfortable. And then she adjusted her seat. Oh, that's even better. And then she got out her neck pillow. Oh, I love this pillow so much. And then she thought, ooh, I'm just a tiny bit chili, just a tiny bit.